Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing. Today we are going to be continuing to read Dream Days by Kenneth Grahame. So, let's get going. Thick, fair hair... No, wait, hang on, we've already read that. Sorry, let me start again, properly. The dragon was licking his scales and rubbing them with a bit of house flannel the boy's mother had lent him, till he shone like a great turquoise. "Don't be violent, boy," he said without looking round. "Sit down and get your breath, and try and remember that the noun governs the verb, and then perhaps you'll be good enough to tell me who's coming." "That's right. Take it coolly," said the boy. "Hope you'll be half as cool when I've got through with my news. It's only St. George who's coming, that's all. He rode into the village half an hour ago. Of course you can lick him, a great big fellow like you. But I thought I'd warn you, 'cause he's sure to be round early, and he's got the longest, wickedest-looking spear you ever did see." And the boy got up and began to jump round in sheer delight at the prospect of the battle. "Oh, dearie, dearie me," moaned the dragon. "This is too awful. I won't see him, and that's flat. I don't want to know the fellow at all. I'm sure he's not nice. You must tell him to go away at once, please. Say he can write if he likes, but I can't give him an interview. I'm not seeing anybody at present." "Now, dragon, dragon," said the boy imploringly. "Don't be perverse and wrong-headed. You've got to fight him some time or other, you know, 'cause he's St. George and you're the dragon. Better get it over, and then we can go on with the sonnets, and you ought to consider other people a little too. If it's been dull up here for you, think how dull it's been for me." "My dear little man," said the dragon solemnly, "just understand once for all that I can't and won't fight. Can't fight and I won't fight. I've never fought in my life, and I'm not going to begin now, just to give you a Roman holiday. In old days I always let the other fellows, the earnest fellows, do all the fighting, and no doubt that's why I have the pleasure of being here now." "But if you don't fight, he'll cut your head off," gasped the boy, miserable at the prospect of losing both his fight and his friend. "Oh, I think not," said the dragon in his lazy way. "You'll be able to arrange something. I've every confidence in you. You're such a manager. Just run down, there's a dear chap, and make it all right. I leave it entirely to you." The boy made his way back to the village in a state of great despondency. First of all, there wasn't going to be any fight. Next, his dear and honoured friend, the dragon, hadn't shown up in quite such a heroic light as he would have liked. And lastly, whether the dragon was a hero at heart or not, it made no difference, for St. George would most undoubtedly cut his head off. "Arrange things, indeed," he said bitterly to himself. "The dragon treats the whole affair as if it was an invitation to tea and croquet." The villagers were straggling homewards as he passed up the street, all of them in the highest spirits, and gleefully discussing the splendid fight that was in store. The boy pursued his way to the inn, and passed into the principal chamber, where St. George now sat alone, musing over the chances of the fight, and the sad stories of rapine, and of wrong that had so lately been poured into his sympathetic ears. "May I come in, St. George?" said the boy politely, as he paused at the door. "I want to talk to you about this little matter of the dragon, if you're not tired of it by this time." "Yes, come in, boy," said the saint kindly. "Another tale of misery and wrong, I fear me. Is it a kind parent, then, of whom the tyrant has bereft you, or some tender sister or brother? Well, it shall soon be avenged." "Nothing of the sort," said the boy. There's a misunderstanding somewhere, and I want to put it right. The fact is, this is a good dragon." "Exactly," said St. George, smiling pleasantly. "I quite understand. A good dragon, believe me. I do not in the least regret that he is an adversary worthy of my steel, and no feeble specimen of his noxious tribe. But he's not a noxious tribe, cried the boy, distressedly. Oh dear, how stupid men are when they get an idea into their heads. I tell you, he's a good dragon, and a friend of mine, and tells me the most beautiful stories you ever heard, all about old times and when he was little. And he's been so kind to Mother, and Mother would do anything for him, and Father likes him too, though Father doesn't hold with art and poetry much, and always falls asleep when the dragon starts talking about style. But the fact is, nobody can help liking him when once they know him. He's so engaging and so trustful, and as simple as a child. Sit down and draw your chair up, said St. George. I like a fellow who sticks up for his friends, and I'm sure the dragon has his good points, if he's got a friend like you. But that's not the question. All this evening I've been listening, with grief and anguish unspeakable, to tales of murder, theft, and wrong, rather too highly coloured, perhaps, not always quite convincing, but forming in the main a most serious role of crime. History teaches us that the greatest rascals often possess all the domestic virtues, and I fear that your cultivated friend, in spite of the qualities which have won, and rightly, your regard, has got to be speedily exterminated. Oh, you've been taking in all the yarns those fellows have been telling you, said the boy impatiently. Why, our villagers are the biggest storytellers in all the country round. It's a known fact. You're a stranger in these parts, or else you'd have heard it already. All they want is a fight. They're the most awful beggars for getting up fights. It's meat and drink to them. Dogs, bulls, dragons, anything so long as it's a fight. Why, they've got a poor innocent badger in the stable behind here at this moment. They were going to have some fun with him today, but they're saving him up now till your little affair's over. And I've no doubt they've been telling you what a hero you were, and how you were bound to win, in the cause of right and justice, and so on. But let me tell you, I came down the street just now, and they were betting 6-4 on the dragon freely. 6-4 on the dragon, murmured St. George sadly, resting his cheek on his hand. This is an evil world, and sometimes I begin to think that all the wickedness in it is not entirely bottled up inside the dragons. And yet, may not this wily beast have misled you as to his real character, in order that your good report of him may serve as a cloak for his evil deeds? Nay, may there not be, at this very moment, some hapless princess immured within yonder gloomy cavern? The moment he had spoken, St. George was sorry for what he had said. The boy looked so genuinely distressed. I assure you, St. George, he said earnestly, there's nothing of the sort in the cave at all. The dragon's a real gentleman, every inch of him, and I may say that no one would be more shocked and grieved than he would, at hearing you talk in that loose way about matters on which he has very strong views. Well, perhaps I've been over-credulous, said St. George. Perhaps I've misjudged the animal. But what are we to do? Here are the dragon and I, almost face to face, each supposed to be thirsting for each other's blood. I don't see any way out of it exactly. What do you suggest? Can't you arrange things somehow? That's just what the dragon said, replied the boy, rather nettled. Really, the way you two seem to leave everything to me. I suppose you couldn't be persuaded to go away quietly, could you? Impossible, I fear, said the saint. Quite against the rules. You know that as well as I do. And with that, we come to the end of the episode. Well, the end of the reading, at least. At the very least, anyway. So, yes. Anyway. My words have left me. I'm just going to say thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night, no matter what time of day it is. Oh, excuse me. I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.